This is What's It Like with Dr. Ken Tangen.
Hi, I'm Ken Tangen. This is episode 80 of What's It Like. My guest is Maro Porcini, with a very good Irish name, Maro.
Ozzy. I'm born in Italy. I grew up on a small city out of Milan, close to one of the three big lakes in the north of Italy, Lago Maggiore. And I moved here about 1.5 years ago. I've been living in Italy all my life.
Did you come from a large family?
I have a brother, and so it's just a four members family, but my father and my mother have a large family with many brothers and sisters that have many children. So, yeah, I was used to be surrounded by a lot of cousins and family members.
So who had the biggest influence on your life when you were growing up?
Well, for sure, my parents. So my father and my mother. My father is an architect, and so he really infused me the love for art, architecture, creativity. I grew up breathing the smell of the wood in the studio of my father in this small court in this tiny village in the north of Italy. He really infused me, the passion for that kind of creativity connected to art and design. My mother, she was working in the economic world, in the finance world, but she's been always loving literature and reading, and so she really infused me the love for reading, and being curious and learning in any kind of occasion and situation. So those are really the two more important people, in my childhood. But then another very important figure is the one of my grandfather, the father of my father. He was working in the finance world as well, but he always had this passion for painting. So in my house, I was completely surrounded by his paintings. They were everywhere. And my father, is an architect, but he started to paint as well when I was a kid. So I grew up surrounded by painting and experimentation in all kinds of techniques. I remember when I was a kid playing with this, what we call pyrograph, that is a pen that is using fire, and you actually design, you draw directly on a piece of wood by burning the wood. And that, I really remember when I was a kid playing a lot with that.
What was your major challenge as a child?
I've been a very lucky boy, so I didn't face any major challenge. I was doing well at school. I was doing well at sports. I really loved, what I was doing. I was playing soccer. Probably the major challenge was how to balance and combine all the different activities I was doing. At a certain point, I was playing at a very high level at soccer also when I was a kid, in teams. There were professional team for kids. And I had to balance that with my school duties, and then on top of that, I wanted to have my circle and my network of friends, and that was probably the biggest balance. How to do 5 days of training a week plus the game on the weekend, go to school and perform there, and still have all my friends.
Mm-hmm.
That's been probably the biggest challenge, but a positive one. I remind my childhood with joy. I really had a lot of fun.
So, Mauro, what exactly do you do?
So I am a designer, and at the moment I lead design in a big multinational corporation in the United States, 3M. I have a team here in the U.S. based in St. Paul, one in Japan based in Tokyo, one in China based in Shanghai, and one in Italy based in Milan. And what we do is we try to invent new products, leveraging the technologies of the company, leveraging a strong understanding of what people want and what people desire and dreams, and then leveraging our business model. That means understanding what our customer wants, understanding what is the equity, the value, the meaning of our brands, and our channel of distribution. So leveraging our assets in the corporation to provide what I usually say, to invent new products that can provide enjoyable experiences to our consumer, to the user, to the people that are using our product.
What's the best thing about your job?
Well, there are a variety of best things. I really love my job. One is that give me the possibility to create something that is going to be used by people all around the world. So I remember I was one day in the middle of nowhere in a farm in Hawaii, in a small island actually out of Oahu. And in this, there was really nothing, just the jungle and the sea. And I found one of the dispensers that we designed out of Milan in that place. But the same, I had this kind of experience in the most remote village in Taiwan and then in Africa. So that's really charming, the possibility to do things that people are going to use and eventually are going to, to change the life of people and to improve the life of people through this art and craft. So that's something I really like. Another thing is this specific job gives me the possibility to travel a lot. And I strongly believe that traveling is so, so important to really open your mind and understand not just different culture, but understand your own culture, looking at that from a completely different perspective. My first experience out of Italy has been the first long experience out of Italy has been when I was 23 and I moved to Dublin. I've been living in Dublin for 1 year. And that specific experience has been really enlightening because it helped me not just appreciating, how beautiful is Ireland, but mostly appreciating how beautiful was the place I was coming from, understanding and appreciating things that I didn't notice before. So again, changing perspective through traveling, but then changing perspective in a variety of different ways is so important when you want to try to add value to the group of people and the society and the company you are working for.
Let me turn the question around. What's the worst thing about your job?
The worst thing is that today I think that corporations give you the resources to really impact the world worldwide by doing products that can really achieve everybody, in different regions of the world. And it's very difficult to do this by yourself. We live in a society, the society of sharing, the society of teamwork, the society where there is not just one individual anymore, but it's really about, working together as a team to achieve those results. So if that is true, then corporations have also a very hard time to really work in a fluid, speed way, fast way. There are a lot of, there are matrix structures and bureaucracies that sometimes don't allow you to move as fast as you would like, as fast as one entrepreneur can do, by himself if he's not plugged inside a big, corporation. This is true for any kind of corporation. This is something that corporations are aware of, and that's why corporations value people so much, because the only way to really speed up the processes and avoid those roadblocks and really keep the pace of innovation going very fast is people and the leaders you have inside the organization, how those leaders are able to serve the organization. But, if you need to identify something that is not really, ideal is, this structure and this bureaucracy that is typical of any big organization.
What type of person would be good at your job?
Well, somebody that is extremely entrepreneurial, somebody that is extremely persistent and resilient, that doesn't give up when there are difficulties, somebody that loves what he's doing, and, especially when we do design products, what I usually say is, to satisfy your customers or your consumer or your users is not enough. What you want to do is you want to love them. And the difference between satisfaction and love is the satisfaction, when you want to satisfy somebody, you try to do everything is possible to fulfill a specific need. But when you love somebody, it could be your mom, it could be your brother, it could be, your wife, you want to do more. You want to do something that is not expected, that is magic, that is surprising. And this is what, we try to do as design leaders in a corporation every time we design something. So the love part is extremely important. It's the passion for what you do, but it's also the passion that you infuse into your products or your service or your brand so that it can be experienced by the people that are interacting with those products and services and brand. And then probably the last quality is the ability to share the story, to tell the story, to convey what you're doing and your vision and your mission to the people that you have around you, especially when you are in a leadership position where you need to have those people following you or giving you resources to accomplish that objective.
So how would one get a job like yours?
Well, first of all, you need to study design. The ideal preparation, the ideal education actually would be a good mix of design and then business background. So it could be a design school and then an MBA. But it's not necessary. I didn't do it. I studied design in Milan, and then I learned the business part of the work by working inside corporations, observing with curiosity everything was going on and learning, reading a lot. So what is extremely important is to, if you want to be a design leader, I think you need a design background, first of all, a school. But then it's all about learning on your journey, learning on your way inside the company you work for, or, if you have your own firm, when you interact with the different customers that you have. It's so important to have a lot of curiosity and willingness to learn. I love reading, and I have tons of books and magazines, not just in your specific field, but in a variety of fields. Open your mind and try to increase your know-how of what's going on in the world. And then travel a lot and try to be exposed to what's going on, in the different regions of the world, and cross-fertilize everything you learn, and try to put things together in a different way with different perspectives to create, something that doesn't exist in the world and it is relevant for the world and can help the world improve, and at the end can help your company improve and increase, achieve their goals.
Is it increasingly more important to be multilingual in a design task?
Yeah, what I usually, when I define a designer, I use the word polyglot, so the ability really to talk different languages on the basis of the audience that you have in front of you. Designers are, by definition, catalysts and facilitators. They are experts of everything and of nothing. We are trained to really being able to speak different languages, the language of technology, the language of marketing, the language of communication, the language eventually of manufacturing, of legal, and the language of psychology and human science to understand people. And being the connector of and the facilitator of a dialogue among all these different functions, and being the one that are interpreting all the different inputs coming from the different functions and translating them in visions, first of all, in stories. You use a lot the word storytelling when we talk about designers. And then finally, in prototypes and products, or eventually if you design a service, could be, the prototype of a service and then the service itself. Design is not just about designing an art good, a product, but you can be a designer of an internet site. You can be a designer of a service. You can design, for instance, the experience when you enter in a restaurant and what is going to be your experience when you enter in the restaurant. You can design the experience when you enter in a car. We design a lot, from 3M, what is going to be the experience when you enter a specific car for one of our customers, one of the automotive brand that you have in the world. What is going to be the experience if that car use 3M technologies, touch screens, different kind of finishing for the interiors, different kind of lighting. So all 3M technologies that can enable a different kind of experience when you enter the car. So in that case, we don't design the car itself. We design the experience by leveraging our technologies.
What's a typical day like for you, if there is such a thing?
Well, the typical day is that I get at 3M very early, actually too early for my Italian standards. We start very often at 7 a.m., 8 a.m., and I meet my design team. We have weekly meetings all together of about 2 hours where we review everything we're working on. But then I have a lot of one-on-one meetings with all of them to review the projects they're working on. And what is very exciting is that one day the project could be a technology for the cell phone of the future for one of our customers. Another day is a cleaning tool that we commercialize with our own brand. The other day is a Post-it dispenser, and another one is a multimedia projector. So we have a really variety of different projects going on. And then I interact with the marketing and the R&D leaders, connecting on the different business and innovation strategies of the company, discussing what we want to do with design, how to leverage design to innovate in 3M or to grow the business in 3M. So this is, in average, my typical day. Then I have a lot of speaking and educational engagement. So I speak a lot both inside the company and outside of the company, conferences and seminars, trying to share, first of all, internally in the company, the understanding about the value of design and what design can do to grow the corporation, and externally trying to share with the world, so it could be media, opinion leaders, or other corporations, customers, and so on and so forth, what 3M is doing with design and how 3M is leveraging design for growth and innovation.
Mauro, everybody has to give themselves motivation occasionally.
Yeah.
How do you give yourself a kick in the pants?
Well, I am an extremely passionate person with a dream. And, my dream has been from day one, the one of building something new that didn't exist in the world. In this specific case, in the past almost 10 years at 3M, this dream has been the one of creating a design activity at 3M from scratch. 3M didn't have a design organization as the one we are creating now. So I joined the company in 2002 really with this dream, even if I was not hired to do that. I was hired to manage a few projects out of Milan for the European market. But from day one, that was what I wanted to build. And in this, a person has been extremely important for me, is somebody that I met when I was 18. His name is Stefano Marzano, and he was the chief design officer of Philips Design in Holland. He's Italian. He was a very good friend of the father of a friend of mine, And when it happened to come to Italy, I was just starting to study design, and this friend of mine called me. I was like, yeah, why don't you come over for a coffee? There is Stefano Marzano here. Do you want to meet him? So, I was doing something else that I really couldn't drop, but I decided to drop everything anyway, and I just went. I met him, and from that time, I started to follow him and try to understand what he was doing, how he was doing it. Every time he was, coming in Italy to speak at conferences or teach at the university, I was trying to be there and try to learn from him. And he gave me the possibility to start working in Philips design when I was young, relatively young. And so Stefano is somebody that's been building a different approach to design inside a corporation like Philips in the 90s. And he's been really a pioneer of the new approach to design that now many other corporations have, but he's been really the first one. And he built a design organization that is just amazing. So when I got the offer for 3M, I was doing something completely different. I was building another kind of activity, more entrepreneurial, my own design firm, the second design firm. And I went to 3M not really interested on the job. I was really creating something else outside. But then when they described me, the company and what the company had, all those technologies, it was like a playground for designers, and a very low understanding of how design could have been leveraged. I was like, okay, this is my chance to do what Stefano did in Philips, to really try to build, a new design organization inside this company and innovate, this already very innovative company through design. So that's my dream, what has been driving me each and every time. And I always keep in mind that vision. And my philosophy is that I can eventually lose some battle here and there as far as I can, I can keep creating the foundation to win the war. And things are going very well. So, you can keep having a vision, but if things don't move, it's very tough. But things have been actually, moving in the right direction. And so this is really exciting.
When you have to soothe yourself, how do you calm yourself down?
I don't. I just keep going. When I was a kid, I had a cousin who was my age, and my mother has a twin sister, and my mother always told me that we were together on the seaside, on the beach in Italy, and my cousin was always, very quiet, by the umbrella there on the beach, and I was always running, never sleeping. And I am like this. I sleep, I don't sleep that much, and I'm always running. I cannot sit down. I always search, a new challenge, and that's really my nature. So I don't calm down.
Is there an event in your life that has challenged you to the core?
No, not yet. And I'm sure it will come. I think one of the reasons why I have enough time to remember an event like this is that, in general, one reason is for sure I've been lucky because, I didn't have any big dramatic events in my life. I hope it will never happen. But the other reason is also that I have a very positive kind of mindset and vision of the world. So even when there are major challenges, this very optimistic way of looking at the world is helping me a lot to just go on. For sure, one of the challenges, but it's not a negative or dramatic one, but one of the challenges has been the one of moving away from Italy, moved to live here in the United States. In Italy, I was living in Milan, that is one of the capital of design worldwide. And my wife is a designer for Gucci. So she used to work in the very high-end fashion world. And a city like Minneapolis and St. Paul, they cannot offer too much to her, in that kind of high-end fashion design world. And from my standpoint, the connection and the network that you can find as a designer in Milan is not something that you find in the Twin Cities that, don't misunderstand me, are very good. I really like, the Twin Cities, but still Milan, for a designer is really inspiring and exciting. So for sure, a challenge has been the one of moving away from there and at the end of the day, having the person I love, that is my wife, following me and leaving her job, in Milan. That was her dream and her passion. So that's been probably one of the toughest decisions of the past few years.
Is there an idea or principle that helps you through these challenges?
Well, the idea is that I think passion and love, as I say before, everybody always make fun about me because I keep using and repeating the word love. But I think is really, Plato used to say that love was what was making the earth spinning, is really the engine behind the world, and I strongly believe in it. That kind of passion is what, in your personal relationship with your family, with your wife, is really what bonds you together and give you the possibility to pass over any kind of difficulty, no matter where you are and what you're doing. At work is really, what gives you the drive to just go on no matter what, even if there are many kind of roadblocks. In a designer profession is what you want to infuse inside your products because, as we were saying before, it's really about surprising and creating the magic and the extraordinary for your users. So if, and then, it's really about that passion is really, when you have a vision and you have a dream, the driver to keep the vision alive, that flame, alive, is really, the love for what you're doing and the passion.
If you were giving a commencement address for high school or college or design school, what would you say? What would be your best advice?
Well, I think, first of all, be curious, always. Never stop learning. Never fall in the trap of being eventually arrogant, and it can happen with the experience. The more, the more you get older, and the more experience you have, the more you may think that you know enough, and this is never true. I remember when I was at school, we were studying ergonomics, and the teacher told us, when you design the cockpit of a train, there are always at least 3 different safety mechanisms that will help you stopping the train in case something happens. And they are designed in a way because there is the 100% probability that something is going to happen. And what they mean is that it's possible that it will happen just once, but it's enough that one time that, the first safety mechanism failed and the second one failed again and you need a third one. That, it's enough that one time that, that you need to be ready. You need to design the cockpit in that way so that you prevent that kind of accident. And this was just related to a product, but it let me think so much about how important it is to really know that in your life, every time, even when you're really, 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 really sure that you're doing the right thing, it's possible that you're making a mistake. I mean, how many times I look, at my past, and I'm like, gosh, in that specific moment, I was sure I was doing the right thing. But in reality, if I look back, I should have done things in a different way. So what I'm saying is that there is never a moment in the life of anybody where you will know everything and you will be always sure of doing the right thing. So being open to learn from others, to, open your mind and try to absorb, all the good things that people around you can give you without ever losing faith in yourself and you need to be sure of yourself. You need to take decisions, but in the meantime, you need to keep your mind always open to really learn from others. And then finally, the love I was talking about before, be passionate, have a dream, and try to really, with passion and love, try to achieve that dream no matter what. I mean, don't let people push you down, because this will always happen. It's part of the game. What I usually say, if your dream is about innovation, for instance, if you don't have people pushing back on you, probably you are not innovating. I mean, it's part of the game. So it's not something that needs to demotivate people. And unfortunately, even in my own team around the world, in my experience in the past 20 years, I saw so many people extremely smart, but they got demotivated by context or circumstances. And again, if you do something new, there will be very few people that will understand right away what you're doing. So you need to really stick to your vision, to your dream, if you want to proceed and innovate. And the big innovator in the world, the Steve Jobs of the world, are the ones that have been persistent and resilient and have been, going on and on and on, no matter what was going on around them.
I want to thank Mauro Porcini for joining me today. Thanks, Mauro. I appreciate it.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
If you'd like to leave a comment, ask a question, or get more info, go to what'sitlike.info.